I've already started Vlogmas and I didn't realise. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Debbie and I read a lot of books. Welcome to another day of Vlogmas. I have finished quite a few books in quick concession, so I have a feeling I might just stay in this dress just to review about 3 different books. To be fair, I've done it before in Vlogmas, I just stay in the same outfit. Today's book is the 3rd book of the Exceptional Sophia Beaufont. It's Negotiate or Perish. I'll get straight in with the blurb, which I am reading off Amazon, because I read this on my Kindle, but I cannot access the blurb on there, so bear with me. Eggs are rare. The dragons alive are in danger. All because of one man. Tad Reinhardt doesn't just want dragon riders gone because their role as adjudicators threatens his business. His grudge is personal. But there's one thing he didn't anticipate. Sophia Beaufont isn't like any dragon rider before. She is modern, she thinks differently, and she definitely doesn't look like a dragon rider. And when it comes to tackling challenges, Sophia uses new world thinking for old world problems. Will it be enough to beat an evil bent on destroying the planet? Continue the adventure and find out if Sophia and the elite can save the dragon population. I am just loving this series. As I said before, if Sophia was around when I was a teenager, I really would have looked up to her as like somebody like really just like embracing who she is within the Dragon Elite. I mean, admittedly, it's the maid that tells her. It's Ainsley that tells her that she needs to stay who she is and try not to change for everybody. But to be fair, she's not trying to change anyway. The common thing throughout all these books is the fact that she needs to finish her training, but she trains on the job. So everything that she does and everything she learns under pressure, which, to be honest, is a bit like me. I tend to learn better under pressure than slowly. So it's just like, especially with somebody whose job is quite practical. I remember my first day at my old job, I had the interview and they were just like, right, let's unleash you on the public straight away. And it was just like, really? But that was a better learning experience for me than any classroom scenario. And Sophia does that. So when she goes out on her missions, that's where she learns what she should be learning in training. And it isn't just that she learns, she just does it because she has to. In this one, you learn more about Tad Reinhardt and his relationship with the dragon riders. Tad used to be a dragon rider. You do get to kind of know Tad's story and why he's got like this grudge against everybody. It's really kind of like that villain origin story, basically. Yeah, the way that Sophia is trying to kind of expose the other dragon riders to technology, but they just don't want to embrace it, and you're just there thinking they're going to have to embrace it at some point because this is what they are fighting. They are fighting technology, they are fighting magical tech. So the fact that you've got this Viking in charge, he's just like completely repellent against the idea of technology. He's aware that it's out there, he just doesn't want to embrace it. Like the fact that the castle has hidden all of his books and put them on a Kindle has completely just like disrupted his life. And as I'm reading it, I'm becoming more and more aware of the fact that at some point Sophia is just going to have to completely expose them to technology. I mean, she's trying to do it slowly, but I'm at a point when, as I'm reading it, where I'm just thinking, girl, you need to rip the plaster off, because they need to know what they're doing. And Sophia is creating important friendships within the elite as they realise just how good she is, and the fact that she is part of their family now, and that no matter what, she wants them to be her family, and she wants them to support her like she supports them, and they all need to kind of play in each other's strengths. Obviously Sophia's is the technology, but she also needs to let the others in on her strength so that they can defeat Tad together. Tad Reinhardt is ultimately the major villain of the piece, because it's obvious that he wants to get rid of the dragon riders. He is stealing the eggs that are left because he doesn't want there to be any more, and because of his anger with the world and how selfish he is, he wants to just take over. Sophia's there to say, I'm not going to let Tad do this. It feels weird to talk about a series like this because I feel like so much happens and yet I'm also trying to be careful of not spoiling stuff, but then as I go into the next book I feel like I'm talking about stuff that I didn't talk about last time. But yeah, you basically find out that Tad Reinhardt and his magical tech was the reason that Adam died in the first book. It was one of his flying machines, because, I mean, as it was described in the first chapter, I was just like, that sounds like an airplane. It sounds like a bomber jet or something. And it is essentially that, but just with a form of magical tech on board. Basically, it's powered by magic, and it's all robots, it's not people. Tad is trying to use them against themselves, does that make sense? Because you find out that there were other dragon riders who didn't make it into the elite, and you find out that it's a part of a selfishness thing. The riders that didn't make it into the elite don't feel like they were meant to serve the world, and they think that it's just kind of them and their dragon versus the world, rather than all of the dragon riders and all of the dragons versus the world. I love Mama Jamba. I'm going to say it again, I love Mama Jamba. The way that they incorporate all these iconic figures into this world. Like, Father Time is a real person, Mother Nature is Mama Jamba. But yeah, Sophia is just at that point when she is, to be fair, from like day one, from book one, she has been ready to go out and start her role as a dragon rider in the elite, being an adjudicator and helping people. She feels like people should trust her, even though she needs to earn the elite's trust and the elite needs to get her trust. It needs to be a mutual thing. But yeah, it's also that the end of the book, it's very clear that even though this part of the story has, I say this part of the story, Tad Reinhardt's story has not been tied up with a bow. Obviously it's still going, but it's one of those endings where it's just like, it's sort of a cliffhanger but not at the same time, because you know that there's more to come, but it does help to kind of wrap up a couple of things. I also just love the fact that it's just so funny. It's got such great humour in it, and the fact that the elite are just considered a family at this point, and the fact that Sophia has really settled into her role. Like, she has her family back in California in America, but she has found a family, and she does consider the Gullington home. So when she does finish a project or something, she's like, I'm ready to go home. And when she says home, she's talking about the Gullington, she's not talking about California. Even though she misses her brother and her sister, and obviously there will always be her family, the Gullington is now her home, and she has genuine love for the elite and for the castle. And I love the fact that the castle itself is a character now, because you see the friendship between Sophia and the castle, because like Sophia can say like, oh, I want something, and the castle will give it to her. It's just so clever. It's the next book that kind of made me cry a little bit. Yeah, it's in book 3 when she really kind of comes into her own, and she will just be like, I decided I want my armour to be pink, and all the guys go, that's really impractical. It's just like, no, it's practical and it's a bright colour. But yeah, it's in this book that Sophia meets her fairy godmother, and Mama Jamba, Mother Nature, introduces her to her. So while all the guys are off training and stuff and going up on missions, Mama Jamba is the one that goes out, I think you need to get your nails done. The guys are just like, oh, whatever, you go get your nails done. And so Sophia meets with a woman called Mei Ling, who does her nails, but it's kind of like a magical experience, because she goes in and Mei Ling will say, oh, you told me this, and Sophia will be just like, I didn't say anything. And then she's just like, oh wait, so what did I say? And it's like this moment of suspended time in which Sophia gets the information that she needs from Mei Ling, or Mei Ling tells Sophia, this is what you already know, even though Sophia's not aware that she knows it. But I love the fact that within this story, Sophia has a fairy godmother. I just think that's really, really fun, and makes it a bit of a Cinderella situation in a way. I just love the fact that essentially, because I've now started book 5, this is a coming of age story, and there's no sign at this point on the horizon of a love interest. And I think that's so unique for a series like this, because it's proof that you don't need romance. You see friendships being made. It's very clear that it's a family bond there. Hi, Lou! But yeah, I feel like in this book it's having that relationship between Sophia and Mei Ling as the fairy godmother, and Sophia kind of starting to trust her own instincts more. Even though Mei Ling is sometimes there saying, oh, well, you already told me this. And Sophia's there going, but I haven't a clue what you're talking about. It's almost like the idea is being implanted into her, but it's obvious that Mei Ling she's a good fairy, she's a good witch. Yeah, Hiker is going to be like the hardest one to convince when it comes to the magical tech and trying to get him to kind of come on board with modern technology, because he just doesn't want to do it. It's also the fact that because I talked about the fact that obviously there's a friendship between Sophia and the castle, and it's obvious that the castle also has an interesting relationship with the other guys, because while the castle likes Sophia, it's like there's a thing in, was it like chapter 6 or chapter 7, where Mama Jamba is just like, oh, the castle's pissed off at you, isn't it? Because it's doing stuff to kind of just like piss everybody off, like moving all of Hiker's books onto a Kindle, removing all his clothes to make him dress like Mama Jamba. And a really, really big part of this story, though, is Sophia's relationship with her mother and her mother's sword. Sophia has her mother's sword in her possession. Basically, her mother bonded with this sword by killing a force of evil called the Phantom, which turns out to be like a dark unicorn. It was after her mother killed the Phantom that they found out that a lot of power was in this unicorn's horn. And so, because Sophia wants to bond with her mother's sword, she asks Father Time if it's possible to turn back time so that she can bring back the Phantom, kill it again, but then also get its horn for Father Time, so that they can all get that power back, because they always say like evil can only be defeated by evil. But yeah, you realise that Sophia's kind of been led astray slightly by how she's been told to bond with her mother's sword. It's basically kind of the thing that she has to do something almost as equal as what her mother did by slaughtering the Phantom. And then you find out that her mother slaughtered the Phantom with her father, and Sophia is there thinking, is me killing the Phantom going to be as equal as my mother and father fighting together? And admittedly, when she does actually go back in time and she is able to bring the Phantom back, it's not Sophia that kills the Phantom. She is with another member of the elite, and so Sophia doesn't actually end up killing the Phantom. But it's through that, though, that she realises that killing the Phantom wasn't the goal there. It's proving to the sword that she is as dedicated to that bond as her mother was. So it's not actually about doing what her mother did, it's about proving to the sword that she has that passion and she has the same fight that her mother did. Yeah, it's just a wonderful story. It's so good. It's just, if you like fantasy, it's just the perfect fantasy series for admittedly girls or people who identify in that way, to really get some empowerment out of it. My niece has told me that my dinner is ready, so I'm going to go. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow for the next video. Merry Christmas.